3:30, and so we'll call the meeting to order. The February meeting of the St. Johns County Cultural Resources Review Board. Is there any procedural reading we need to do at this point, or should we just proceed with the agenda?
I think just proceed with the agenda. Correct.
Okay. So now is the time for general public comment for any items not on the agenda. General public comment. Anyone available to?
Yeah, I had written a letter to the board or staff and Mr. Olson regarding follow-up from the last meeting. And I didn't notice it on the agenda, so I was curious as to if it was going to even be discussed at all.
Do you want to go ahead and just mention what it is? And I know we've all seen it come in, but
Okay, if you've seen it, that's fine.
Yeah.
It just is not there, and I was just wondering what action was going to be discussed or.
Yeah, we have that.
I don't think
Every
we
time.
don't.
We send it out via email. We can certainly send it
but
again.
just what is the topic again?
It is a follow-up on the last CRRB related to properties within Volano Beach Town Center. A number of items. I requested a current inventory of the Volano and North Beach Historic Archaeological
Do you have more than
assets,
one
a
copy?
complete inventory,
I just have
as I thought that the inventory was being conducted.
Yes.
Sometime soon. And to specifically look at the town center properties, there are about 7 that are over 50 years and may qualify for cultural significance, just to be reevaluated. They may or may not be, I don't know. But what we want to do in Volano is to make sure that outside developer doesn't come in and get the same idea they had about Magic Beach with the rest of the properties. So it's a proactive move in the request to see if we can review and figure out how to save whatever
Okay.
we've got there.
Well, I think that connects to an item on the agenda, actually. I
Okay.
think we're getting an update on the surveys that are
Correct.
in the works, and one of the surveys is the area you're describing right now.
Yeah.
So it's good timing for you to ask the question.
Good.
Okay, so that is public comment. Approval of minutes from the December meeting. They're out. They're more concise than, more brief than what we've seen in recent times. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the December meeting?
I move to approve the minutes of the December meeting.
Motion
I'll
made,
second.
motion seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Okay, current agenda. We have the agenda before us that was also distributed. Are there any additions to the agenda? Modifications? The agenda then stands approved as presented. So we'll go to the items on the agenda. Staff update on historic property survey.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Ryan Malk. I work at the Environmental Division along with Jan. And I'll go ahead and read through some of these. So the current agenda today is 4 staff updates, so it should be rather quick. The first one is the update on the grants. We have 2 small match grants that we received by the state, as you may be aware. The first one is the Historic Properties Survey of A1A, and the next one is the Cultural Resources Interpretation Program. So with the Historic Properties Survey, I think you alluded to that earlier, it starts from the northern property, or the northern county border, down the coastal highway, all the way down to the Volano Beach area. So that includes all the properties along Volano Road there.
And that's, has that contract been awarded?
It has been awarded. It went through the RFP process, And the contractor is from Jacksonville, and the name of the contractor is GAI Inc. And, they met the qualifications of the grant. And that contract is currently in our purchasing department, and so it's going back and forth between the
It's not
contractor.
proceeded yet. But the
Yeah.
selection has been made, but the proceed order has not been issued yet.
Yeah, so we're basically in the middle of that now.
Okay.
We just got a notice too that their attorney, there was some changes to be made to the initial contract that we're having with them, and that both sides, I guess, now have agreed to the language in the contract, so it's ready to be signed by us now. So it should just be a matter of, a few days to a week, depending upon when our purchasing department can finalize these documents.
And not having seen the scope of work, based on public comment we just heard, will there be an opportunity for interaction with for example, the Volano Beach town center interests as that survey proceeds?
Definitely. As the survey proceeds, we'll definitely want public input. I do imagine what we did with the last one, because we did have another historic survey, we actually had some community meetings, so,
It's about 2 years ago.
yeah, so, yeah.
I remember.
So, certainly, you'll be a great contact to provide to, if you're willing, to provide to the consultant. We are aware of those properties that you had listed. They're going to be a component of this, because we did go down Volano Road as well as up A1A, Coastal Highway, Ponte Vedra, that whole corridor.
Is there a schedule for the work we're talking about right now?
Yes, it's going to work along the grant's scope of deliverables, and that's basically going to proceed through this spring into the summer is when it's supposed to be finalized.
Oh, okay.
So pretty quick schedule. And they're looking to initiate those. I've already provided some documentation to the contractor already, so looking to get started on it fairly soon.
So other questions about the A1A survey? Okay.
I will say this contractor's been very proactive in reaching out to us, and so we've started providing, Mercedes, before she left, drafted up a spreadsheet with some tentative properties already identified, so we've provided that to him. He has access to our IMAP, different things like that, so as they proceed through the process, I think they're off to a head start before we even had the contract signed.
Okay.
Okay, and so the next one is the Cultural Resources Interpretation Program. That grant specifies 25 interpretive panels and 10 historic markers, and also replacements of both of those, both panels and markers, at county sites. So the draft text for those items were included in your package and sent out. And
If I could interject one thing, and it is extremely draft.
Yes.
So at this point in time, don't get hung up too much on the text. If you see something that's wrong, too lengthy, you want modified, please feel free. Now's the time to provide feedback to us. I will tell you the state has seen the text and the locations, and they are on board with both, knowing full well, I told them that this is very draft text at this point in time.
So we have archaeologists on this board. So that could be a good resource for.
Definitely. So again, there's no ownership here. Please feel free to, amend, add to, take from, whatever you feel will make, because we want whatever product we come up with to be accurate and to actually be informative.
Is there a deadline for feedback on the text?
Well, what there should be, we have to have, this grant, I think, is finalized, it has to be in May.
Yeah, right.
Now, I think what that means is we just need to actually send out to order the markers and the panels and so forth. I need to look at it, I don't think they actually have to be installed in that date. Just the fact that we've got everything encumbered and ready to go. We would be allowed a 30-day extension if need be. But we've got a company on board, one that the county has used in the past to do outdoor markers like this, you know, weather resistant. So I think we're all ready to go there. So as soon as we can finalize the text would be great. I know you guys are busy, but
Can we mention something now?
certainly,
I think we need to be consistent. When we're doing 1800s, 1900s, is there an apostrophe in an S or no apostrophe? Because
You-
that's.
you tell
kind of-
me.
Yeah, well, I could look into it and let you know.
okay,
But I know that it's both ways.
okay.
And one marker is gonna be, some markers are gonna be correct, so I'll get back with you.
Thank you.
Via email.
And that's perfect, so don't just, and not just the text, is it accurate and so forth, but definitely, you know, do we have commas in the right place? Is there a period wrong or something spelled incorrectly? And so please feel free to edit at will.
And we're responding back to you only. Correct?
Yeah, you
Yes.
need to, myself and Ryan,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, was Ryan on the email too?
Ryan, yes.
Yeah, I should be
Yes,
copied
uh-huh.
in there.
Repeat
Uh-huh.
this on the distribution.
No, right, okay. Very good. Thank you.
So yeah, we'll continue to finalize that text for both the markers and the panel, consistent with the timeline and the grant. And there has been a requisition started for the one company is named iZone. Again, we chose, there was 4 different companies that Parks and Rec provided us that they've worked with before for this very thing, for interpretive panels, so we went with that, and basically the winning quote won. And also of note, you know, the locations have been approved by the state. We've submitted it already, the draft text, so that's been looked at by the state. As well as the selections for the markers, we wanted to be sure, because certain markers that are located within a right-of-way have to be installed with a breakaway post. And so we wanted to steer clear of that. We wanted to make sure that we were on county property and not in a right-of-way, so we didn't have to deal with that breakaway issue.
So some of these are replacements, and some of these are new markers where there hasn't been a marker before.
Correct, both markers and interpretive panels. So there will be some replacements as well.
How are the new markers determined? What was how did we come to the list of the new markers? Just curious.
Prior to Mercedes leaving, she had started some of this work
Oh, okay.
already. And so we just tag teamed on her initial
Okay.
work, took the areas that she felt, and she even had some of this text is actually Mercedes text.
Okay.
So yeah, we didn't want to recreate the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we stuck with her.
So that's basically it on the first agenda item. If you have any other questions, I'll certainly be ready to ask or answer.
More questions?
Are these Osceola sites, are they accessible for people, or are we trespassing on someone's property if we wanted to go see them?
We actually own both sites, the Treaty site and the Osceola site. You can access them via an easement that the county secured to get to those sites. And in fact, we have had several individuals that go to the Osceola site. There's just a coquina marker right now.
right.
And they have been requesting a marker, a
Okay.
more formalized marker.
But neighbors aren't stopping them if they...
No,
Okay.
no, and the Treaty Parks, or not the Treaty Park, the
Fort Payton?
Fort Payton site is actually very accessible. We actually own a right-of-way up to that site.
Okay.
And we've visited both sites.
Okay.
Okay, other questions from the board? Okay, we have opportunity for public comment on agenda item 1. Do you want to comment any more?
Just the observation that Peyton's not really known. I mean, there's a lack of education as far as where these markers are. You know.
That's a replacement. There's
Yeah.
one there already.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
it may be accessible if you know where you're going.
Well, and we've had actually individuals go there and ask us to replace that marker.
Yeah.
But maybe what we could do is at the entrance, have some smaller type,
You wouldn't
You know,
know it's back there. if you
right.
didn't
Right.
know where to
Uh-huh.
go or where to look.
We'll definitely get with our sign shop and think, because there's actually like well, you've been there most likely, there's that entryway there that we could actually put, you know, like an arrow if you want to go to Fort Payton, it's that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, could you add to the project by having something like just a simple website that shows where all of these things are? Because I think that would help everybody know, that
Right.
these things exist all over the county.
Right, and that's actually a good idea. That's going to be a large endeavor, and maybe, when we get to item number, what is it, 3?
Yeah.
We can talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly, that's an excellent idea, because I know you can do that on the state. You can go and see where their markers are. So that would be an excellent idea.
Okay, so that was a no action item, so item number 2.
Yes, so item number 2 deals with the Division of Historic Resources evaluation for a certified local government program. And so this is an audit of that. And so we received a letter from DHR, and they'll be conducting that audit. We were sort of looking at the letter again. It was a January letter, and so we're assuming it's going to be sometime in this quarter that they'll be doing this evaluation. They've already asked us for some form of documentation for the meeting minutes of this board, and so they may continue to ask specific questions pertaining to that evaluation. And so there was no specific date given for that, just kind of as they go along, I'm assuming.
So our county is certified now, and periodically there's a need to recertify.
That's a requirement of certified local governments. They
Okay.
have to be audited or reviewed every
Yeah.
so many years. So this is just a standard review. I don't anticipate any problems because both individuals that have been working on the certified local government, provided all their documents, got minutes in on time. So I don't perceive that we'll have any issue at all with our review.
Okay. Any other comment on that? Any public comment on the certification? Okay. Item number 3.
Item 3 deals with the filling of the vacant cultural resource coordinator position. And so we do have 3 interviewees scheduled for Friday, the 11th. So, pending that review, we will probably have that position filled 2 or 3 weeks after that, once selected.
I'm going to do a big yay.
Yeah.
So we'll do the interviews, then it takes about a week for our personnel department to actually do the negotiations and contact the individual and that sort of stuff. Sure, they're going to have a 2-week notice at their existing, job. So it could be 3 weeks to a month out before we have that individual. As soon as we know, we'll let you know. We do have, again, Ryan said 3 applicants. One is I don't want to jinx it, an extremely strong application. Mercedes shoes are going to be hard to fill, but I think this individual may be the one, to do it, that, again, has great qualifications, but we'll just go forward and see what they say.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you. Then number 4.
All right, number 4 is to deal with the expired terms and filling of vacancies of the board. And so,
Right, we have one vacant seat, and then one that was expired. Now, Christine Newman, she apologizes, is not able to be here today. She's a little under the weather. But she has expressed, and I believe it's in your packet, I provided that email, that she's expressed interest on continuing, and that she would put in her application to do so. So the board has the option of agreeing to that, so maybe to take action on that item first. And then we do have a vacant position. We have been in contact with Melissa Lundquist to see when we can get this advertised. Again, I looked on the website today and it still was not advertised as a vacant position. So we're struggling a little bit. I know they've got their hands full over there, but we would like to get this out on the website again, requesting, another volunteer.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion on the expired term of Christine Newman and her interest in serving?
I mean, do we need her application before we can vote?
That's up to you. I mean, she's been serving on the board, so I think the application may just be a formality, but you don't actually have the application yet,
We
so.
make the recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so.
Well,
Okay.
I would say pending receipt of the application, comma,
Yeah.
we would recommend appointment.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is, yeah.
So-
I don't want to not have all of our
Get ahead of
paperwork in
ourselves,
order, you
yeah.
know? So, well, I will second that motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded to recommend Christine Newman to fill the expired term that she has just occupied. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Great.
Okay, so we're now to, this is a shorter meeting than last week.
I'll say,
We're now to public comment. Any public comment at this point?
me being the public. Yeah, back to my letter. Am I to assume that no action by this board will be taken until the conclusion of the inventory and reassessment of those properties?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay, I'm just fearful that another developer is going to swoop in, and one of the items I had mentioned in the letter was the Main Street district is, by all means, a historic district. And at the last meeting, you recall, it was decried as not being a historic district. I just want to have the board address it at some point in time and make an affirmative statement that it is, in fact, so that other properties don't get demolished.
Well, it sounds, based on the schedule that we heard, it sounds like the survey will proceed. Quickly.
Yeah, it'll proceed on individual properties, but not the district itself. And that was the argument that Paul Weaver made, was that the associated properties in that street were not historic enough to qualify saving Magic Village.
I guess that whether, or the basis for an actual district designation would be part of would come out of the survey, right? If there's a basis for it.
Well, in my opinion, I would have to go back to the Land Development Code, but a district would hold different meaning than just individual properties. And there's, as you all know, there has to be like an association and a feel, and even a nexus. You couldn't be, separated by, 2 miles and be called a district. So a lot of that will come out of the survey, because they're going to survey Volano Road, which is the area that Sally is talking about. But then to actually go forward and make it a district, that would be something different. That would have to be, in my opinion, a proposal and analysis based on additional criteria than just making individual property considerations.
How would that be initiated, such a thing? Would it be citizen initiated or county initiated? The idea of, or the study or process of determination of whether it qualifies for a district under the LDC, how would that be initiated?
I would need to, honestly, I'm out of my league on this.
Okay.
I would need to look further into the Land Development Code on that.
Okay.
But I do think it could be either way. It could be a community-based effort. Certainly those individuals that hold the properties would need to be involved and, see their willingness and, desire to become a district. I don't know necessarily that it would come like from county administration or something like that.
Right.
Well, it's befuddling because in order to apply for Main Street designation in 2002, there was a very lengthy, extensively documented application submitted delineating the historic value of the area and the preservation needs and so forth. So I would like to see it followed up and pursued to make sure it is protected. And another thing that I'd like to mention is right now in the state legislature, there are two bills moving forward. One in the House, one in the Senate, and actually at the federal level too, to increase the historic tax credits. In the federal level, 20% tax credit on the improvements is on the books, but we don't have one in Florida. There is a bill progressing now to allow for 20% plus another 10% if these properties are in a Main Street district. So that's 30% investment incentive for property holders or buyers. I've got a fact sheet handy if you'd like to be interested.
Are those ours to keep?
Yes.
That must be a property tax credit then? since
Yes.
Florida doesn't.
A tax
have
credit, historic tax credit. Yeah.
So it's not an income tax?
No, no. So if somebody bought a property in July and
Yeah.
it was potentially eligible to be qualified as historic, cultural, or whatever designation it could go for, they could apply for historic tax credit status, and anything they invest in the property, 30%
Is not taxable as a valued
And
income?
that's exactly what Casa Monica did when they renovated that downtown.
Yeah.
So it's significant if you understand it.
And for reference, that was House Bill 247 that you included before? Okay.
Yeah, that was Salzman, Representative Salzman, and the entire contingent of Main Street communities spoke in Tallahassee in January, and it is moving through the committees rather rapidly, so hopefully it will be passed.
So again, the point you're making is that if there's a district designation or a individual building designation, then the credit would apply?
Yeah,
And
it
it would be
would
in
apply
its-
now because we are a Main Street community.
Okay,
But I just want to make sure that in the future, it's recognized as historic at some level, whether it be by default of a Main Street affiliation or special community initiative or whatever.
so one of the buildings I'm sure on your list is the Baron Cotto's building. And that is now about to be renovated and reoccupied by a restaurant?
Yes, they have a year out that they're talking about taking any action, but their intent is to retain the look and style with modifications, and what they can do, it's not historically designated now, so they can do pretty much what they want, but they'll have to go through design review and other hoops and loops before it gets finalized.
Okay, let's see. So we're at the end of the agenda. We've covered staff report, or is there any other, board member reports, Not a darn thing. Okay, staff report. Any additional staff?
Also not a darn thing.
Okay, there be no other business, we will adjourn.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes.